The New York Knicks are so close to winning the championship. I'm filming this very late, and obviously I'm not in my usual setup, but that's besides the point. The point is the New York Knicks have now won both games 1 and 2 against the Spurs on Spurs territory. That is a huge accomplishment. And see, this is where we can start leaning towards the Knicks, possibly even pulling off a sweep. I say that because, well, the Knicks, if they can already win, which they have on the road, games 3 and 4 are going to be insanely difficult to win if you're San Antonio, because you're not stepping into the Garden and taking over. That's a very hard task to do. Let me say this. The Spurs, they're a great roster still. They almost won game 2, but they didn't. At the end of the day, they didn't. And so games 3 and 4, you got a lot of pressure to try and keep the series alive. I'll go on record saying if the Knicks take game 3, the Knicks will just sweep. I can see a world where the Knicks will sweep if they can just take game 3. And it's honestly a shocker because, don't get me wrong, I was rooting for the Knicks since the beginning of the season. I see this team as a team that has consistently represented the East and has constantly wanted to make a push for the championship. And now they finally have the chance to do that. Here's the thing. Well, I can see a world where they can win the East. Winning the championship's another story, especially because the West is such a difficult conference to play against, okay? The Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Spurs, all of these great teams. And honestly, I thought the Spurs would have definitely shown up a lot more prepared against this Knicks roster. But here's the thing. It wasn't until, I want to say, the fourth quarter in game 2 where the Knicks actually lost the lead to the Spurs. Wemby showed up in the second half, but before that, he wasn't relevant at all in game 2. And in game 1, he shot 6 for 21. He was horrible efficiently. So honestly, this series, weirdly, you wouldn't think the Knicks would have a chance against the Spurs. But here's the thing, they're winning, and they're winning pretty well. When Brunson doesn't show up offensively, there's other guys there, okay? Brunson had 30 points, which was an amazing performance in game 1. But see, he wasn't even the standout of that game, I would say. The standout was a guy like Josh Hart, who was doing it all for the team, who had the biggest plus minus on anyone on that Knicks roster, who was getting tons of rebounds, more rebounds than Victor Wembanyama. He was passing the ball, he was stealing, he got a block. He was amazing. And now in game 2, we saw Mikal Bridges really step up. And offensively, he was nice. He was very good. He had 20 plus points in the game. Very, very efficient. And he was helping so much on this game specifically. And of course, Karl-Anthony Towns was consistent in game 1 and consistent in game 2. Brunson, while I do believe if the Knicks were to win the championship, he is undoubtedly Finals MVP. It's not because he has the best performance in every game. It's because he's by far the most necessary piece to this team winning. When you don't have Brunson out there, he could be missing shots, but he still contributes so much to this team. And now when we compare that to the Spurs, it's kind of the opposite in terms of what their star players are doing. No disrespect to Victor Wembanyama. This dude's got the projection to be a top 3 player of all time, okay? Our potential to be the greatest player of all time. But man, he is getting exposed in this series, and it doesn't make the most sense. Victor Wembanyama, I think he's setting high expectations on himself, where he's expecting himself to do everything. You have multiple guards on this team who can show that they can be the best player on the court and the best player on the team when Wemby's not. But I feel like Wemby's trying to do too much. In game 1, he shot horribly. And later down the stretch of the game, what really cost the Spurs the victory was the fact that Wemby was trying to, control the game with his handles, and that didn't lead to anywhere. He was taking a lot of threes and they weren't going in. And now we see in game 2, Wemby, he's I'm not gonna judge the player, but I feel like he isn't resorting to using the post a lot on offense. Maybe the numbers say otherwise, but just from watching the games, it shows that Wemby, I feel like he's trying more from the mid-range and the perimeter. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you're 7'5" and you're a big dude, you're the biggest guy out there on the court, and we know you can dominate in the post, I feel like it should be a given that that's where you should be predominantly playing. The fact that he isn't scares me because, well, I don't want to see the Spurs team get swept. From the Knicks perspective, it would be awesome, but overall, as a basketball fan, I'm trying to see the Spurs compete, and they are competing. Game 2 was a close game, but it came down to one shot. And see, San Antonio, you can't allow the series to come down to one shot. If that's going to be the difference between winning the series and losing, that's not good enough. You shouldn't have to resort to putting yourself in those kind of situations, and it comes down to Wemby. So, games 1 and 2 are over. The Knicks are up 2-0 on the series. As I've mentioned, games 3 and 4 are going to be insanely difficult for the Spurs to win because you're playing in the Garden, okay? If you lost your morale on your own home court, losing to the Knicks, having to play them from behind in the Garden is going to be one of the most difficult tasks any team has to deal with. Okay, so Spurs, I'm hoping to see them put up more of a fight, but right now it's not looking so good for them. On the Knicks side, sweep the Spurs if you can. That'd be awesome. Okay, Jalen Brunson has already cemented himself as one of the greatest Knicks players of all time, and it's showing because, wow, this Knicks team has proven time and time again they deserve more credit than what they're given. They're on a 13 straight playoff game victories. Okay, I think that's tied with Golden State when they had Kevin Durant. Okay, this is an amazing, amazing feat for the Knicks. And whenever Atlanta was looking good against them, the Knicks came back and dominated. Okay, Philly, New York didn't even give Philly a chance to look good. And then in the conference finals, you sweep the Cavaliers. Analytically, the Cavaliers are already up in the series against the Spurs in the finals, but from a truth standpoint, you swept the Cavaliers, back-to-back sweeps, and now you're 2-0 against the Spurs. Honestly, this is best case scenario right now for the Spurs.
Who?
I mean, for the Knicks, if you're San Antonio, you need to figure out what the issue is, because while you're a great team and it's showing you can be a good team, you got to look at your star player and you got to figure out what's going on, because while he is clearly showing he can be great, he's not showing up when they need him to be great. At least I haven't seen much of that. So we'll just have to see what games 3 and 4 show, but for now, games 1 and 2 are in the books. I'm excited to see where the rest of this series goes. Quick little video, like I said, not in my usual setup, but I'm excited to get this kind of video out. Thanks for watching.